I know. How weird. I'm inflating a balloon. A pink balloon at that. I apologize. Pink, that's a color that some people love. Not necessarily my favorite color. It's just what I had in the office. I'm going to let the air out now. Today we're talking about the concept of inflation. I'm Ian Maddox, Hitchcock Maddox Financial Partners, and this is our Financial Planning Simplified video series. And I thought a visual explanation or example of inflation might come in handy today. I've had a number of conversations with clients, and I'm seeing all the talking heads on the news channels talking about inflation. And I think it's helpful to put things into context. We have had a wild ride the last 12 months. In fact, we just sent out an email to all of our clients and a letter as well about an event we have coming up. And I referenced the idea of the last 12 months being a roller coaster. It has been exactly that. And we know, all of us do at this point, and these are things that have happened not just in the United States, but other Western economies, that governments really stepped into the fold. They tried to fill the gap of economic activity with stimulus. It's not the first time we've stimulated the economy. We can go back to the Great Depression. The government has stepped in many times to try to fill a gap, and we've done that to a substantial degree through this COVID process, right? Through global pandemic, the United States has stepped into the tune of trillions of dollars, which brings us to the idea of, I could blow this up again, I won't, of inflation. And one of the things that I've heard, a theme that I've heard, is that there is this correlation between, there's been trillions of dollars of stimulus in the last 6 months. That's why lumber is expensive. That's why gas has gone up in prices. That's why other commodities have gone up in price, right? And I want to clarify a couple of points because our goal here is to educate, and I don't want to make people's eyes glaze over. I am not a professor of economics at all, but I do have a good sense of kind of the dynamics that are at play right now. And inflation comes in different forms, right? There's different ways that it comes about. In simple terms, inflation is it's the idea that more units of money are required to buy the same things tomorrow than they did today, okay? So you can look at that from two sides of the coin. The units of money, in this case in the United States, they're dollars. Other currencies exist around the planet, but here it's US dollars. So it can either be that those units of money are worth less, or it takes more of them to buy the same things, two sides, same coin. But one of the things that I see happening, is particularly with talking heads, and I've had clients repeat it to me, is that, the stimulus, that's why this inflation is here. And I want to explain to you in very, very layman's terms that I don't believe that's what's happening right now. Trillions of dollars expanding the money supply, in other words, creating more units of money, absolutely can create inflation. It has happened in history. It's happened to the degree of hyperinflation where people, and you can go back to the history books, I won't bore you with it, where literally, this is true, people walking down the roads with wheelbarrows full of bills, right, paper pieces of money. That's not what I think is happening here primarily. What you're seeing today. So when you turn on the news channel, I won't mention particular news channels, but if you hear that happening and they're saying, so-and-so, they're playing a narrative, and it's not always based in reality. Most of what you're seeing with various price inflation on certain products and services has to do with disruptions in the supply chain, okay? It's really still at this point COVID-driven. People aren't working, or they're hard to source, or because of restrictive covenances by governments, people can't show up at the same rate. So the input costs, in other words, it's harder to get labor in, it's harder to produce the products at the same time. I'm a big cyclist. It is almost impossible to find bikes. It is impossible to get bike parts. I just refinished my own personal deck in the back of my house. Lumber costs are asinine. I know people are nodding their heads as they watch this video. That's not because of $4 trillion of government stimulus. That may come down the road. That's going to continue to filter in. But most of those price disruptions, those increases in costs, are because of a limitation in supply, okay? Demand is going up. We can't get the products we want. The prices go up. So just make sure you understand inflation comes in from various angles, and there's different definitions of it and different causations. Don't always listen to the narrative because the media loves to keep eyeballs on the screen, and I get it to some degree. I'm doing the same thing here. but I would rather provide you with context and accurate information, data-driven information, rather than just being emotionally driven by the news feed. So, till next time, Ian Maddox, HMFP.